can apply the right principles, you can have a successful relationship. Relationships are not squeaky clean. Could be because you're disappointed, because you're hurt, because you feel somehow. If you practice these two principles in your life, you're going to taste and see that your relationships can be successful. Well, good morning and welcome to Timeout this morning. My name is Jack Vint. The sun is shining. It's a wonderful day. As I always say, it's a great day in Africa, and I'm on my way to do Timeout. And I just want to say to you this morning, I hope that you're taking some time out where you are and relaxing. And as you listen this morning, I'm going to be sharing about two principles that can make your relationships great, because I believe that you deserve great relationships. And I believe God wants you to have great relationships. And if you apply these two principles, I really feel something's going to happen that can change things for you. So I'm looking forward to speaking to you soon. Well, good morning, and I'm back again. Now, you may say, well, I don't believe in the principles of relationship. I just go head on into them. Well, whether you believe it or not, and I believe it or not, relationships work on principles. It's like the law of gravity, as I said last week. Whether I believe it or not, if I jump off a cliff, I'm going down. Whatever I believe, because it's a law that's in working, and it's not emotional. And so also relationships have laws or principles that govern them. And if you can apply the right principles, you can have a successful relationship. And now it's strange to me that, as I said last week, that relationships are so important. Why is it that we don't get taught about relationships early in our lives? Because it affects us from when we're born to when we die. Why is it that we have to use this method of trial and error in our lives? And it brings pain, because when we fail, we feel somehow that we've been hurt. And so I really don't like the trial and error method, because it means I have to make too many mistakes. Now, you never see an aircraft pilot being trained with a method of a trial and error. Imagine him saying to, when he's about to fly, to say, well, thank you for joining me this morning, because I'm going to learn this morning by trial and error, and I may make some mistakes. He's going to empty that plane, because you don't want to put your life at risk when it comes to flying. Well, you don't have to put your life at risk or your relationships at risk when you're going through a relationship, if you apply the right principles. So I'm sharing some principles with you this morning. But I just want to say something about relationships, like a myth buster, if I can. Relationships are not squeaky clean. Relationships are not linear. They don't follow a line. They're not clinical. You know, I've got this wonderful, beautiful relationship. Everything is in place and Jesus is here. No. In my relationship, I want to tell you, sometimes that's not true. Sometimes Jesus wants to run away from our relationship because it's messy. It's all over the place. And I'm just using that analogy now to help you. Now, it's messy because relationships in essence are messy, and it's normal. Now, I'm going to share a story with you. I have a granddaughter. She's practicing she loves to bake. She lives next door to my wife and I. She sometimes just climbs over the fence, and she's into baking and experimenting. And we are often, my wife and I, the recipients of her experiments. And because I'm a good grandparent, I haven't got the heart to not eat what she gives me. And I have to just put a disclaimer here. She often makes very nice things, and it's wonderful. But some of them aren't that wonderful, and I just have to look and eat what is put in front of me because she is learning to bake. And many years ago, God gave me a great analogy about how that baking is a great analogy for relationships when I wrote a book on real relationships with real people. And if you've ever baked, I haven't baked, but I've watched people bake. My wife bakes all the time. You need the right ingredients. You need all of them. But even with the right ingredients, you don't magically just get a cake. you have to have the right ingredients, and you have to mix them at the right time, at the right measure. And if you get all that right, you then have to take that cake, put it in an oven, put some heat on it, and if the heat is too much, it rises too much, and if it's too little, it flops. But if you get it right, if you can get that everything right, the mix, the ingredients, the temperature, you have a beautiful cake that everybody says, wow, what a cake, and everybody wants a slice of that cake. And that's an analogy of, if you can get your relationships right, you will have something that everybody will want to be part of and taste, including you. And so, yes, relationships can be messy, but if you get it right, and when I say that, when you've finished even a great cake, there's stuff lying everywhere. There's a lot of dishes that are messy, and that's really an illustration of how relationships are in our lives. So I hope I've broken that myth. Now, also just want to mention the elevator principle in relationships. Relationships like an elevator. If you push a button, it can take you up. And if you push a wrong button, it can take you down. And if you're going down into the basement of relationships. That is not fun. But if you're going up, the air starts getting cleaner when you go up. The view starts getting better, and there's just greater enjoyment. And so be careful what buttons you push in relationship, because they will be taking you on a journey either down or up. And so I'm going to show you this morning the two principles I want to leave with you this morning of how you can have a greater relationship with someone that you care for, whether it's a child, a parent, whether it's with a colleague, whether it's with a friend, whether it's with a spouse. These principles will apply to any relationship, because God wants you to have great relationships, and you deserve great relationships. And maybe this morning you say, but Jack, I've had painful ones, and some of them haven't been great. I understand that, but it's not too late to change it. If you apply the principles of relationships, you'll get the benefits of relationships if you invest in them. So here are the two principles. I'm just going to mention them. The first one is the principle of acceptance. And they may sound, these principles, very similar. They are, but they're different. The principle of acceptance. And the second one I want to mention is the principle of being inclusive, including somebody in your relationship. Now, let me share a story with you about how these two, although they seem the same, work. Now, the principle of acceptance and the principle of being included. Now, if you've ever can remember back when there was a team event and you were a child and they were choosing a team to play a sport, maybe soccer, and you chose two captains and you said, you the captain, and you're going to you must choose the team. And you stood there as one of the people, and what was going through your mind is, I hope they choose me. And normally the captains would choose the better players or the stronger players they thought that can make them win. And then you stood there and you waited and waited. Now, all that was going through your mind, or my mind, I should say, was, I hope that I'm not last, and that they, that I'm not. They don't just say to me, okay, Jack, you might as well also come onto my team, because then I would really feel rejected. Because everybody wants to feel accepted. And in a relationships, it's no different. You want to be accepted. So you have to make space for people to be accepted in your relationship. Now, many times in relationship, the mistake we make is we want to change people. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't change. We should change. But you won't change somebody unless you accept them. Yes, they may still not change, but they will have no chance to change unless you and I first accept them and open that door for them to feel they are part of our lives. So, when people are not accepted, we hang a board over their lives saying, you are rejected. And that's exactly how they feel. And that's one way to make your relationships go down. The second principle is what I call the principle of including people. Now, you may think it's automatic that I've got a relationship and I will automatically include somebody. No, including people is a choice. And you may ask, Jack, why do I not include somebody in my life? Why does somebody feel they're not included? How would that situation ever happen? Well, it happens because somehow you feel that you want your own privacy, you want your own space, you don't want people to come too close. And so what you and I do, we build a wall. Now, it's not a physical wall, obviously. It's a mental, it's a emotional wall. Whatever it is, it's a wall. But the other person can feel they are excluded. They are not included. Now, everybody wants to be included. And another example I'm thinking about now as I'm speaking to you is, if you go to a big party and you've been invited, but you don't know everybody. And when you arrive there, everybody is chatting with somebody they know, and you feel a little bit out. And then you look out and you say, there's Jack. And you go straight for Jack and you start to speak to him because you feel now you're also included in the party. Everybody wants to be included. Don't exclude people in your relationships by building a wall so that they feel, because on that wall, you are saying to them with a board, trespassers will be prosecuted. Don't go beyond here. And then that is a barrier to make your relationships go down instead of your relationships going up. And you may ask, Jack, why do I build walls in my life? Well, there could be many reasons, but it could be because you're disappointed, because you're hurt, because you feel somehow that you just feel disappointed. You just feel that you've been hurt. Probably that's the main reason. And so now you build a wall, just in case that person hurts you again. But if you want your relationship to be successful, you have to break down the walls. You have to take down the signs that says trespassers will be prosecuted. If you practice these two principles in your life, principles of accepting people in, and you also want to have that in your life. If you practice the principle of including people, breaking down the walls so they can come in, I can tell you this morning, you're going to be on the journey to have great relationships. You're going to be like that cake that put all the ingredients in at the right time, at the right measure, and you put it into the oven at the right degrees, and you put, even when that relationship's under pressure, it's going to rise and it's going to glow like a great cake can. And when people see it, they're going to say, wow, that is a great cake. That's a great relationship. I want a slice of that. And you're going to taste and see that your relationships can be successful. Thank you for watching this morning with me. My name is Jack Vint. I want to say to you this morning, when you share on any social media platform, you are helping me to make social media more positive and helping people. So thank you for sharing, for commenting. I'd love to hear some of your comments of your experience in relationships so that I can also learn from what you are saying. And it will be great to hear you. You can also join my VIP group, Very Important People, Timeout group, where I share exclusive content with people during the week to help them. But whatever you choose, just know God really loves you and He wants you to have a great and successful relationship. I'm going to catch you next week.